themselves as an identity, they're the things you need to pick apart. Because this worthiness thing has some really deep unconscious stuff in it that needs to be let go of. This is where the unconscious mind has connected, if we just use the metaphor itself.
It's latched onto that.
Yeah, marijuana is the only way that you can have a good identity. So if you take away the marijuana smoking, the unconscious mind has an identity issue, and it won't allow that because that's some deep stuff.
Yeah.
So now we have to debate with the unconscious mind and find out what's the link to identity? What's the link to this worthiness stuff? What are you so hitched on giving them an identity as a marijuana smoker? Why haven't you given them something else? That's where an investigation needs to turn to.
Yeah, well, I'm at the moment I'm thinking, what happened along the way that you had to latch onto that?
Exactly.
What made you feel that you needed to use that as a crutch to begin with?
Excellent. So you could ask, what has one got to do with the other?
Yeah.
Excellent. What else do we ask? We're right at the scene of something very unconscious to happen. What else do we get curious about and ask? Let's get as many of these out as possible. I call these trance solutions, because what it's going to do is going to put them deeper into trance, and it's going to give you the solution you need as the hypnotist in order to ask the next question. Not the solution as they're going to fix it, but a solution for your own confusion as the hypnotist to figure out, what do I do with this next? So we could ask, okay, just to take yours, what happened that got you to a point where you felt like you were unworthy and began to smoke? So that's a great question. What else could we ask that would reveal this secret that's hidden right in the middle of it?
Yeah, because I'm curious to know, because understanding that the mind works in symbols. What led you to believe that would be the answer to the issues and more that you've had?
Excellent. So again, we're reattaching the problem to the first initial event, if you want to. Excellent. So that'd be another way. What else do we do?
I'm still looking for more explanation on this. Why you felt the necessity to go there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely one direction. If we were to go the opposite direction as well, we're actually getting into the same place. So by asking a question like, so what you're telling me is you don't feel worthy enough to quit. Is that where I'm going? And he says, yes. Okay, so what do you want to work on today? Are you trying to find a way to feel worthy so you do get to quit? So that could be one direction out of it. Or to take a little bit of mine, a little bit of yours, is to say, what does being more worthy than you are now have to do with you quitting?
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you can go out
Yes.
of the problem or back
Sorry, Scott, I had the mindset that I didn't want to be folding stuff back on itself to get to there. I wanted to pick it apart.
That's fine. We're still picking it apart, but what we're asking them to do is explain what's the attachment. That's what we're asking them to explain. And in order to understand that, because this worthiness is an abstract idea, you can't help but get all abstract and weird about it, no matter how you ask it.
I understand,
Okay. So let's take yours, and let's say you've asked me, okay, so what actually happened in order for you to get to become a smoker in the first place? Let's just take with that one. And let's say I'm thinking, which means I'm trying to find a memory, which is a good unconscious moment. And let's say I said something like this. Well, Michael, this just come to me. I can't believe I forgot about this memory. When I was in high school, I really, really liked this girl. And the most special moment I had with her was when we first tried marijuana together. And it was just an incredible feeling. It was like a deep connection I got with this girl.
A deep connection.
Yes.
So is it the loss of that deep connection that makes you feel unworthy? Or is that marijuana covering up the fact that you've lost that deep connection?
Excellent questions. Beautiful. Let me ask you the reason for asking those. It was a great stacking of realities. Perfect questions. What made you ask those? What are you trying to find out?
I want to find out what the root cause was, and whether the laziness has gone, or the unconscious mind has gone, you know what, we did this together and that was really good, so I'll just do that again, and it'll all be really good again, because it's quite lazy in its approach. It wants to get the quick answer.
Yes.
So I figured that would be a really quick alternative.
Yes.
Right? It's sort of like, we were walking home from school, and a truck full of apples went past, so I've got to replicate that to feel good again.
Excellent.
If you know what I mean. So
yes, I do,
the unconscious has gone, oh shit, that was there, I better use that.
Yes. It's easy for the unconscious mind to try and live through that very special connection, a very special moment over and over.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you've asked me a question about that, and I'm thinking, and then I say something like this. You know what, Michael? I just miss her. Now, we would agree that's the real problem.
Yeah.
So what do we do with this? It's gone away from the drug thing, because that was just, in order for him to get past missing, the unconscious mind kept trying to remind him of the special connection, even if it just made him feel special for a couple of seconds. But while doing that, the unconscious mind hasn't realized every time he smokes, that connection may be felt for 1 or 2 seconds, and then there's long missing, or this feeling of missing this person, because he's connected the smoking to her. So if he does one, he gets the remembrance of her, but then it makes him realize how I don't have her anymore, back to being sad and missing her again.
Yeah.
That's the loop. So what do we do with this? Your clients just look to you, big deep breath out. You can see him starting to tear up, and he just says, look, I miss her. I've never met someone like that before. I miss her.
So if what you're telling me is, if you were to not smoke marijuana, you would have better options for finding somebody that would give you that same feeling. Is that true?
Could be a possibility. I just miss her.
So what is it that you miss?
I don't know. I can't explain the feeling. It was like our souls connected. And through all my friends, I've got close friends, I've had other girlfriends before, I just miss that. And I just can't seem to find that with anybody else. So what's our client telling us now? You would agree that this would be some pretty deep stuff for your client to start talking about. What are they telling us?
That there's it's like there's a part missing.
Yeah.
Right? A piece of the puzzle missing.
Yeah.
And we've been trying all these other options, but it hasn't come up with the right answer.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, what is it that you're not missing that could give you more than what you had before?
So what would we hope to uncover with a question like that? What would be the purpose of that directional question?
I'm exploring the validity of this missing, because it's been built up to such an enormous thing that nothing else comes close.
Yeah, so there's definitely something very
so
deep
I'm trying to get a reference for where this would need to be. So asking, I was sort of asking whether there's something that could far outweigh this to make all those other problems seem insignificant. Without saying it so up front.
Absolutely. So you could almost confuse them into something, which is great. One little trick that I used to like to use is when you get to a point where a client really gives you the problem and they say, you know what, I really miss this person. Now, we know as a hypnotist, we can't bring this person back. We don't even know this person could be dead for all we know.
Yeah.
So we know we can't fix that. What we can do at this point is when your client is right on the edge, by giving a client giving you a root cause, they're going to be in trance because that's going to be really, really hidden. They've made a connection and it's going to be really hidden. So it's nice to put it back in your client sometimes and say, well, look, you said you really miss this girl and you've got all these other problems. What do you want from this session? Do you see how that got a client to think, wow, I've got to give you something to work with right now?
Okay, yeah.
So we're saying, what, you've told me this, what do you want to get out of today? Because a client might turn around and say, well, you know what? I know that if I overcome missing this girl, the smoking will take care of, I don't want to have to smoke anymore. So now they've given you a direction to head in.
Okay.
Or you might ask that question again, what do you want to get from today's session? What do you want me to do with you? And they say, well, what I would really like is to learn how to connect with people better and maybe find that connection with somebody else. Okay. But there's always a possibility your client says, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I want to take the hardest one, which you knew I would. And you've asked me that question. Okay, Scott, so you've told me this. I appreciate you revealing that to me. Thank you very much. What do you want from me? Now let's say I look at you, I think, I'm looking at you rather confused, and I say, I really don't know. What do we do with that?
I'm thinking that that's a really good position to be in.
Very good. Why would that be?
Because you're not going with any preconceived ideas, right? You're not approaching it with something that may not be relevant. You're approaching it with, wow, I've got lots of options here.
Yes.
So now what I'm curious about is which option are you going to use to find that somebody special that wasn't covered in all the stuff you did before.
Excellent. But what do we do if a client says, I don't know what I want from this session? Well, we can't preempt anything. We don't want to turn them towards our direction.
Yep.
Your client said, I really miss her. Well, what do you want me to do from this session? What do you want to do today? What do you want to get from today? And the client says, well, I really don't know. Because a client can sit there and say, well, I want to give up smoking. That's just all conscious now. That's not a real issue. They're there.
Yeah.
But if a client says, look, I don't know, what do we do?
I'm thinking that that's a really good position to be in, and I would just want you to sit in that position for a moment. So because like most things, when we look for something, we search everywhere, and it's usually in the last place we look. Right? So just now that you're in this in this ideal position, just sit there for a moment and work from there.
Excellent. So you can see how, with a client saying, I don't know, only noticing if you've seen the unconscious moments, this could be the foundation of, the trance, where you just do a normal Ericksonian simple trance and just say, well, close your eyes.
Yeah.
And although you don't know now, really consider, what is this session going to do for you? That's this, and you start to go into a long story mode like we normally would.
Yep.
But by a client sitting there going, I don't know, all of this talk we've done previously, that's all going to be waiting for them in the trance. So let's say an example, they go into trance and then they see a symbol of this girl and they have a conversation with the symbol, and the symbol says, hey, you need to forget about me and move on with your life. That now becomes a reason for change.
Yeah.
Or they go into this trance, they start to get very, very emotional because they do miss this person, and finally let go of all the emotion. Then when they come out, there's nothing fueling it anymore. So what the trance is going to do now, as we prepared it up front, all of these things, all the conversation we've had, the what is it about this, that's that, and all this fun conversation we've had with our client, all of those resources, all of those solutions, all those new connections, just from having the conversation, are going to be waiting. Now a client just has to introduce themselves to these new things while in the trance.
Yeah.
When a client is saying, I don't know, that's a good indication the client's conscious mind is far gone. However, if a client sits there and says, well, Michael, I told you what I want to give up smoking. They're not there yet.
No, absolutely not.
They haven't connected to the conversation. It hasn't hit them. It hasn't hit them unconsciously in order to start to make them reflect on something different. Okay, so let's say I'm thinking, I'm in trance. You might tell a story. You might just keep talking to me. You might be completely silent and just let the silence overwhelm me. And let's say I pop out of trance, and as a client comes out of trance, I might be a little bit groggy. How do we pick it up from there? How do we find out what's happened? What's our next move?
Okay, so tell me how you feel.
It was really strange, Michael. Like I think I went into hypnosis. My eyes got really heavy, and I just sort of sat there, and this overwhelming feeling of comfort came over me.
Comfort? Well, that's really good. Tell me a bit more about that comfort.
Well, it felt like I was getting a hug from her, and everything just feels good now. Like I felt really sad before because I do miss her, but now when I think about it, I feel lucky that I had that experience with her.
Wow, that's awesome. So now that you've had that experience, where do you think you'll take it from here?
Excellent. And pause right there. Perfect. So that's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
What have we just done? What has our client told us, and what have we done with what they've told us?
Well, we've grabbed what positivity came out of that.
Yes.
And pointed them in a direction.
Yes.
And asked them, where do they think they'll go from here?
Excellent. So we're asking them to say, now you've found something different. What are you going to do with it? And we're just helping them connect it all. We're not going into where a lot of hypnotists make a big mistake and start going, okay, well, is comfort good enough for you? What do you mean?
I wouldn't be challenging it as hard.
Yes.
Because I didn't get the uncertainty in what they were telling me.
Yes.
If there was uncertainty in there, then there'd be a reason for me to test it.
Yes.
But because there wasn't the uncertainty there, then I don't feel the need to test it.
Yeah, it just has to connect. Now, what's important as well is we're not saying things like, okay, well, comfort, you've said comfort, but what I really think you need is this.
Oh, no, I don't need to tell them what they need.
Another way of ruining this as well is taking the idea of comfort and saying, okay, now you're feeling comfort, your problem must be gone now. We can't make that connection. They have to come up with it. All we're doing is saying, wow, you felt comfort. Awesome. Explain more. What do you mean by comfort? What does that have to do with the whole session? And then they come out of it and go, oh my God, you know what I was just thinking, Michael? It just came to me that if I just remember to feel comfortable in my life, I'll never have to smoke again. But that has to come from them. That's the connection that gets made.
Yep.
So let's say I'm sitting in it, I'm feeling comfortable. You can see me go into little unconscious moments here or there, and you see me start to smile and start to laugh. What do we do with that?
I'm going to ask you what that's about.
Yeah. And let's say I come up and say, you know what, Michael? I remember a joke she told me that was so funny that I just remembered that, and that's an incredible feeling. It just makes me want to laugh inside.
Awesome.
So what do we do with that? So it's another resource.
That's really good. And you know what? You've got that to use now as a tool. Each time you get that feeling where you're feeling a bit flat, you can leverage off that to feel good and keep moving forward in the direction that you want to go.
Excellent. So now we can start to play with their resource and expand it. What we need to also do as well is when these resources to come up, we need to start creating a new loop back to where they started. So we always have to ask questions every now and then. You know, you just felt this or just experienced that. What does that have to do with why you're here? That has to be the loop. So they're going to loop that back onto, you know, if it's comfort. And they say, you know what, now what I'm feeling comfort. I think that has to do with I'm going to feel comfortable once I give up smoking. Great. They've connected it all.
Yeah.
We're just going to be very, very gentle with it and not offer too much of, okay, you should connect it to this. That should mean that. You need to do this with it. Every time you feel like a cigarette, you need to pinch your own finger or something like that. You know, a normal classical, I'm going to tell you what to do strategy, which never works. You just have to keep asking, what does this have to do with that? You've said this. What on earth does feeling comfortable have to do with giving up smoking marijuana? Or what is that internal joke that you just experienced? What does that have to do with you connecting with people? They'll make all those assumptions. So they'll make all those connections. And then through that connection, another aha moment comes out because you get an answer to that connection. And then once you get that answer, you connect it back onto itself again. So this now, just by talking about it and drawing attention to it, starts to create the new loop that they live through.
Yeah.
So the old loop of, well, I want to improve my life, but I keep smoking every time I smoke, I'm not going to improve my life. That gets discarded, and now it becomes every time I feel like having something to smoke, that's not going to make me comfortable, so I'm not going to do it anymore. And that becomes the new loop.
Yep.
And they get something from that because they start to give up naturally, and their life does start to improve, so the unconscious mind wins again.
Yeah.
It gets an answer indirectly from a solution. It gets a solution indirectly from another solution. And now it's all solution orientated, whereas before, if you want to take the metaphor, it was almost spinning backwards and it was just tripping over the mistakes over and over and over and over again. But now we're telling it, hey, run the other way or spin to loop the other way. And now that becomes solution orientated. And this all comes from having the correct hypnotic interview.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Any questions from that?
It does. No, that's it's good. There was a couple of times I wanted to jump into an area, but I didn't feel that I'd opened it up enough.
Yep.
But in the way that we fold it over,
sure,
and lay it back on there,
yes,
that is enough to get that.
That's it.
Open and the process going from there.
It's just something really, really small. It's just enough to make them reflect back on their own loop. Sometimes just by drawing attention to the conflict of there's this means that in the negative, by putting attention to that, it's enough where a client goes, hang on, that doesn't make sense. What the hell have I been doing? Bang, they're in trance.
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions at all just from those little strategies?
No, that's really good.
Should make you reflect as well on your clients, but also your upcoming clients, why the hypnotic interview is so, so important. And from this, why the hypnotic interview can be pretty much the only thing you'll ever need to do. Because it creates it, you need to use the hypnotic interview in order to find the problem, the real problem, by trying to find the real problem, they have to go into trance in order to answer you. And by finding the real problem, the trance they go into, a solution's going to pop out every now and then. So it has the whole therapeutic intervention hidden inside this hypnotic interview. That's the big reason why we need to get to this quote-unquote root cause. I don't even like that as a label. It's just finding out what's the secret the unconscious mind is not telling you. What's it hiding from you?
Yep.
Okay? So